Before disassembly, please prepare all the tools shown in the picture. First, apply a screen protector. Set the heating platform to 65 degrees Celsius plus or minus 5 degrees Celsius. Then, place the phone face down and heat the back cover for about 5 minutes. Next, use a safety blade. Gently insert the blade into the gap between the camera lens glass and the camera frame. Push the blade slowly downward until a small gap appears between the glass and the frame. Insert a plastic pry tool about 3 to 5 mm into the gap. Slowly slide it along the edges of the glass. Then, remove the camera lens cover glass. Next, use a safety blade again. Gently insert it into the gap between the logo decorative plate and the camera frame, until a gap appears between the plate and the frame. Insert a plastic pry tool into the gap. Carefully slide it around the edges. Remove the decorative plate. Then, remove the screws securing the camera frame. Use a plastic tool to detach the camera frame. Apply protective film over the camera. Next, use the safety blade again. Gently insert it into the gap between the back cover and the middle frame. Push the blades slowly downward until a small gap appears between the back cover and the frame. Insert a pry tool about 3 to 5 mm into the gap. Carefully slide the tool along the edges of the back cover. Gently separate the back cover from the frame. When the tool reaches about 10 mm from the side buttons, stop sliding to avoid damaging the button flex cable. Then, gently lift and remove the back cover. Next, remove the screws securing the mainboard cover plate. Carefully unclip the mainboard cover plate latches. Take off the mainboard cover plate. Then, disconnect the 2 battery flex cables. Peel off the battery mylar tab. Pull it upward. Remove the battery. Next, use a spudger to lift the mainboard flex cable connector. Be careful not to touch any mainboard components. Then, disconnect the antenna cable from the mainboard. Be gentle, as using too much force may damage the antenna connector. Carefully remove the mainboard. Next, remove the earpiece speaker. Unscrew the screws securing the charging port cover plate. Take off the cover plate. Then, disconnect the antenna cable from the subboard. Again, be careful. Too much force may damage the antenna connector. Use a spudger to lift the subboard flex cable connector. Next, remove the screws securing the subboard. Take out the SIM card tray. Remove the charging subboard. Peel off the battery adhesive strips. Then, disconnect the antenna cable. Slowly remove the remaining flex cable. Finally, the Honor X30 disassembly is complete. Thank you for watching.